Wakespeed Device Firmware Updates. The Device tab allows you to upgrade the firmware and request last known fault. Begin by connecting your Wakespeed regulator to your tablet and navigating to the Device tab. By selecting the Request Last Known Fault button, we can see if the regulator has noted a fault at some point, and in this particular case, it never has. But if a fault does occur, it will be recorded, and you can retrieve that information here. Next, we'll check the firmware. You'll first want to check and see if you're on the latest firmware. Select Update Firmware, and it will go through that check. We can see an update is needed. Select Yes to proceed with the firmware update. It will then ask if we'd like to download the firmware. Press the Download button to proceed. Once the firmware downloads, the regulator confirms a USB cable is connected, and then we'll continue to put the regulator in firmware update mode. Once it's done that, you can press Next. It will then update the firmware. Once complete, go back to the Device tab, and once again select Update Firmware. It will now indicate that you have the latest firmware installed. Now let's explore some of the features that are unlocked with Expert Mode. We'll go ahead and enable that now by going to Settings and selecting the Expert Mode toggle. You'll see a few new options are now available. We now have the ability to restore the regulator to the factory settings. This will erase any configuration information you have. We also have the ability to restart or reboot the device remotely. The ability to configure the regulator with a different firmware release than the latest. And that is the Device tab of the Wakespeed application.